With all of that said, I am super excited to welcome our wonderful, fantastic instructor, Jennifer Keller, joining us today from the Kennedy Krieger Institute. So Jen, please go ahead and take it away.
Great, thank you everybody for having me. I really am glad to be here and share something that I love with you. So maybe if you could make me spotlighted so that people could see my background a little better, maybe, absolutely. Or if they haven't already. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about what program it is that I wanted to, share with you today. It's an adapted Tai Chi program, and it was originated by Trisha Yu, who was located in Wisconsin, Madison, Wisconsin, and she had been practicing Tai Chi for 40 years or more. It's based on the Yang style Chen Min Ching lineage, for those of you who know Tai Chi, and it was brought to the States around the 1970s. So that's when people started practicing in their 20s and 30s and learning this form. And then over the time, it's just the wellness aspect of it, the health promotion aspect of it has spread to larger and larger populations. But Trisha worked closely with a lot of therapists and really wanted to adapt the form to be more accessible to everyone. And so that's what I really like about this Tai Chi health program. It's called the Tai Chi Fundamentals Adaptive Program. And it can be done standing with side support or with standing with a walker, and then also just seated like we're gonna do today. And so I think that offers you a lot of, well, all of us, a lot of opportunity to practice. You can practice Tai Chi anywhere for just a few minutes a day and get some benefit from it. But you also can do it throughout the course of your life and throughout a course of any sort of like disability. So, we might learn it in one domain and then standing or sitting and then be able to practice it in the other should you like have a good day or a bad day or more energy or less. So that's my main reason for wanting to share it with the Ataxia community. Personally, I've been practicing Tai Chi for about 8 years now. And then when I learned about this form from Christy Hallisey, who's a physical therapist who wrote a book, I don't think I can show you, but it's based on the fundamentals adapted form to give really great details in sitting, standing, and walker use. It just motivated me really to start sharing it even more with the people that I work with. So I'm a physical therapist. I work in a research lab at Kennedy Krieger, and it's just part of Johns Hopkins and or associated with it. And I have been working to study how we move, and in particular how the cerebellum is involved in how we move over those years that I've worked here. So I really like the idea of merging these two as a wellness principle. I'm just going to change my screen background so that you can see my next, and just a little information about our practice. So Tai Chi is safe and gentle, and it's appropriate for most people, but you should really only participate with me today if you know that it's okay for you. You've either talked to your healthcare provider, or you've been exercising for some time. It can be strenuous and it can be effortful. And so, and it can, challenge your balance. So I really want you to be safe. My guidelines for you today, if you're going to participate, hopefully you have some comfortable clothes on. You're using a supportive chair, and it can have arms or no arms. That's fine. You can have additional support if you need it. And I really want you to listen to your body throughout the practice. So don't attempt any movements that make you feel uncomfortable. If you have pain, just stop doing it. And then make sure you have adequate support throughout to keep your balance. And, if you don't participate today, you just watch and learn, it kind of gives you some interest. And if you're really interested, there's some resources at the Tai Chi Health website or through myself, or maybe through future practices that you can learn. It's a lifelong wellness practice. Like I said, one of the great benefits is that you can practice it anywhere, anytime. My last Tai Chi group, we were talking about practicing in the airport. It's great anywhere you just have to wait around. You can make it more subtle so that it doesn't look like you're doing, a slow moving martial art. And you can practice it just for a few minutes each day or an hour or however long you want. My practice groups have been an hour and a half twice a week. It's pretty long, pretty intense, but you can get benefits in a range of aspects. Just so you know, Tai Chi is like it's a mind or movement, mindful movement exercise. So it can be beneficial for our overall wellness, for reducing our stress, for helping us manage any illnesses. So I'm looking forward to giving you this introduction today. So I'm going to move to my video so you'll see me, and move back to my chair. And I invite you to do the same. And I will tell you some more about what we're doing. So you want to have a supportive chair. For me, I would sit further back, but I'm a little short and I like to have my feet flat on the ground. So I'm going to sit a little forward in my chair, but I could also just use like a little foot support to give me more support to practice. I also have a cane here in case I need it for support, but I could have a chair with arms as well to use. So find what makes you comfortable. If you need to sit back and use that for support the whole time, that's totally fine. In fact, one of the main principles of Tai Chi is active relaxation. And what comes from that is actually benefiting from getting into a relaxed state and having an upright posture. So you want to be both active, using what you need, but relaxed, not using more than you need. And so giving yourself extra support can really help you benefit from that aspect of Tai Chi. So the Tai Chi Fundamentals program is unique, I would say, because it has established a series of basic moves that are done in order to give you the foundation of a Tai Chi form. And then there's a component of a short form that has 3 parts, and that you learn in sequence over time. And then that short form is really a basic basic level of the more advanced form. So you can take what principles you learned today and over time into other forms in the community that might be available, making modifications as you need them. So what I intend to do is a little warm up. These are called energizer warm ups, and they're probably the most strenuous thing that we'll do. They're kind of to teach your body what not to do during the practice, and also to just give yourself a chance to kind of get the wiggles out of your system and do that. So feel free to participate as you like. They're not as important. You can do any kind of warm up that you like yourself. Then we're going to do the basic moves of the first third. They're also divided up into 3. I'm just going to quickly demonstrate the second 2 so that you can see what advancement it moves to. And then we're going to do the introduction, the first part of the form. And again, I'll show you the rest of the form so that you can see where we move. And then we'll end with a little bit of a chance for me to get some feedback from you and to answer any questions. Well, Tai Chi was originally practiced without speaking and just following the instructor. That's hard to do on Zoom and for most people to learn. So I will talk a lot. So we're just going to start off with getting a good seated posture. So make sure your feet are flat on the floor. You really would like to have your knees in line with your hips, so shoulder width apart, and they're balanced over your feet just below. So if you have to turn them out, it's fine, but you're working to get them in a neutral alignment. And then you want to have equal weight on both your sit bones, and if you can have your body upright to start. And we're just going to begin with some neck range of motion. So really gently, turn your head to one side if you're comfortable. I know that dizziness can be a problem, so if this is a first step irritation, then just skip this part, do something else, take a few deep breaths, relax. Just notice how far you can go. We're not actually trying to stretch so much as become aware of how our bodies feel today and at this moment in time. I also like to just do a little side bend to one side and then to the other. Sometimes it helps to focus your eyes in one position so that you don't get dizzy. And then when you're comfortable with that, we're gonna do some shoulder warm-ups. So you can start like you're holding a big ball in front of your body, and then just bring your arms back and expand your chest and get a little stretch across your front of your chest, and then come back to holding that ball. And if you feel comfortable, you can bring your arms all the way in and give yourself a little bit of a hug. And you can go back again and see if you notice any tightness in your chest. After I spend half the day on the computer, I definitely notice that this is a really good way to warm up. And then you can also do this, turn the backs of your hands together in front, and then bring your palm up and out to the side. If you need to hold on, you can totally hold on and just do one arm at a time. So you're bringing your hand in between your legs and then your palm up and out to the outside. And again, stretching your chest. And you can do the other side. So in and out. If you feel comfortable, you can do both at the same time. And then after this one, we're going to start to warm up our trunk a little bit. So you could do a little C curve with your back if you feel comfortable, and then come up nice and straight. And you can do a little bit higher than you normally stand if you can, but only within what's comfortable. We all have a little low back pain discomfort, so we don't want to aggravate that. We're just trying to move within a comfortable range. And then we can do a little side bend. So I like to think about just putting my hand to the side and just dropping my shoulder down. So I feel a little bit of a stretch in the side of my body over here, but my back is still upright and straight. I'm not like rotating or bending too far. So we can do each of these one more time. Just drop the hand and curve the body to one side. And again, if it's uncomfortable, it doesn't feel right, don't do it. And then you can also do where you just tilt your shoulders to one side and then back and tilt. I'm still keeping my back straight as though it's like rubbing against the wall behind me. I'm not rotating. I'm just shifting my shoulders. That's just a different way to feel how you're moving, and notice that difference. And then lastly, you'll never do any rotating or twisting of your trunk in Tai Chi, but you can try and turn a little bit and look over one shoulder if it's comfortable. You can turn and look over the other shoulder. Notice if that feels good, if anything feels tight. One more over here. And the last time to the other side. And then we're gonna hinge at our hips and go front to back. So I'm just bending at my hips, coming forward and back. I'm not curving my spine. I'm trying to keep my head nice and upright. And you might notice how you get more weight on your feet. And when you come forward, and then more weight on your sit bones as you sit upright. And then I like to do a couple, just bend your feet back so you get a little ankle range of motion if you're able, and straighten them out in front so that you can stretch out the back, the front of your calf, and maybe back one more time. If you come back and you lean forward, that's a really good move for like starting to get in and out of your car or something like that. But we're just getting lots of range of motion and seeing where our bodies are. So that's our starting warm up of our exercises, our energizer warm ups. And then we're going to move into some of the basic moves. So the main posture of Tai Chi is the horse posture. And so you want to have your knees and your feet shoulder width apart, facing straight ahead, like I talked about, with your feet flat on the floor. You want to have equal weight between your left and your right hip bone. So maybe you shift a little and notice if you we all tend to like want to sit to one side, especially if we cross our legs. So see if you can get nice and even. You want your trunk upright, not really effortful. In fact, your tailbone's kind of heavy. So it's not like a overarch to your back. It's something that's just like a comfortable flat resting posture. And your back really won't move from this position during the time. Most of the movement will come from your hip joint. Your shoulders are over your hips. Your shoulders are heavy, they're dropped, they're relaxed. And you want to lead with the crown of your head so that you're not with your nose forward. You want to be nice and upright if you can. You can have your palms down, holding on, just relax. Your arms relaxed. Your elbows are heavy, they're just hanging. You can feel the weight of your body supported by the chair. So you're rooted in your feet and your hips when you're sitting. And your body is upright, another main principle of Tai Chi. And you're alert, so you're aware of your surroundings. What is the light like in the room that you're in right now? Is it bright? Is it sunny? Is it kind of dim? You might also notice and become aware of your surroundings for what sounds you hear. You don't hear my dogs barking right now, which is great. It's really pretty quiet here other than the sound of my voice. And then you might become aware of your breath. So if it helps, you can put your hand on your diaphragm or on your heart and notice how much your chest moves and how much your belly moves. In Tai Chi, over time, you build the ability to use more of your diaphragm in breathing, get a little Buddha belly, where you're not sucking your low abs in all the time, but instead using your breath to give you good postural control. For me to activate my diaphragm, sometimes I use a little cheat that I use a double sniff. And that seems to get my diaphragm to kick in a little better. And then I just like to get upright and become aware of my internal state like I have, and how is my body feeling, and my surroundings. Where am I? Am I alert and awake? Am I aware of what's happening? And then I use to take 3 quiet breaths. I'll be quiet, and you can wait while I take 3 breaths, and take 3 breaths with me. And that is the beginning, the horse riding stance. And the next one that we're going to do is one that's for both learning to relax certain muscles and then also kind of building up your cardiovascular effort. So you can just start with one hand, and you're just going to lead with your wrist, letting it like float up. And when it gets to the top of where it's comfortable, you just let it fall with gravity. And this is called heavy arms. And you want to not use any arm effort. Your shoulders just hanging off your body, and it's swinging forward to back. And I know this could be a little perturbation for some. So, hold on if you need to your chair arm or whatever. That's fine, just to get used to it. You might notice how your swinging arm changes, how much your trunk moves or your weight on your sit bones. And then you can do the other arm when you feel like it. Bring one up just to feel like you reach your top, and let it drop. Let it fall, let it be heavy. You can play around with it. You don't have to be too, serious. You can let it turn. You definitely don't need to be worrying about having perfect form. I would just encourage you to focus on letting your shoulders relax. You are not going to focus on your arm movements during Tai Chi today. You're actually focusing on your trunk and your posture and your breath awareness. And if you feel comfortable, because I know we have a lot of different levels of ability, you can go ahead and try both arms, but really only do that if you feel safe. You should kind of feel a little, maybe you'll notice you feel a little tingling in your fingers as they warm up, or maybe they get a little bit warmer. Maybe you notice your breath gets a little bit higher. This is a really good one just to practice to kind of de-stress and, shake it all out at the beginning or end of the day, or when you need it to relax. That's heavy arms, and you finish by just letting momentum and gravity bring them back to your sides. So just let them dangle at your side until they come to a rest. And take a breath. See if you notice any different feelings in your hands. Sometimes I can tell there's a little extra warmth. They get a little red, a little more color to them. And then we're going to go into riding the horse. So the first thing about the next things are that we always keep something called beautiful lady's wrist. So if possible, you keep your wrist nice and straight. And your fingers are awake hands. So they're not overly straightened, and they're not totally limp. They're just like in a relaxed, alert posture. I learned from one teacher that if you put your hand on your head, that kind of will give you the posture that you're looking for. So your fingers are sort of spread, your thumb is out from your index finger, and your wrists are straight, and that's awake hands. So you can have your arms at your side, or one arm if you're holding on, and just your elbow hangs right underneath your shoulder, and then your palm kind of faces the floor. And so now you're upright, and you're gonna do what we call riding the horse. So just hinging from the hips, you come forward, so you get a little more weight on your feet, and then come back to upright. And you should feel free to hold on with both hands if you need to, or one. Or if you can do it, you can have both hands in this awake posture next to your body. So your body is still upright, your feet are still flat on the floor, your knees are still in line with your hips, your low back just stays nice at the point. So don't go so far that you end up bending or too far back that you arch. You're still keeping a nice upright posture. You can kind of tell in the mirror that I'm doing that as well. So this is riding the horse. And to riding the horse, we can add an arm movement, which is for crane takes flight. So you take that wrist and lead with the wrist and let it float up. And then it floats back down, leading with the wrist to come back down to your side. And this motion, your fingers are just kind of relaxed, and then they come up at the top as they come back down. Your fingers are almost like a paintbrush painting the wall. You want to really be thinking about lifting at your wrist and not your shoulder. So your shoulder is not coming up first to get it there. It's all coming from the wrist. The other thing is my arm is on an angle about 45 degrees. It's not here in front of my body, and it's not out here to the side where I can't really see it. I can just see it in my peripheral vision at about 45 degrees, but whatever is comfortable for you. And then you can switch and do the other arm if that's easy enough. If you have chair arms, you just stop here, let your hands be on the outside of it. That's fine. Or stop when you rest and you come to touch that. And if you're able, you can lift with both wrists and let your hands float back down to the side. And this is flying crane arms. And then what we're going to do is crane takes flight. So we're going to add the horse riding, where we hinge forward our hips with the lifting of one arm. So I'm going to hold on with one arm, and as I come forward, I'm going to lift with my wrist, and then as I come back, I let my hand come back down to my side. And so as you come forward, your arm comes up, floats up, and as you come down, your arm floats down. And if you want, you can switch sides, hold on with the other arm, and try the other side. I always find it's interesting. I just have a little bit better posture, a little bit easier chance at keeping my balance in this way, when I notice my symmetry from one. But if you are able, you can also try both arms, shifting forward and coming back to upright. In Tai Chi, everything is slow. So I have to always remind myself to slow down, so that when I get to as far as I can bend forward, my arms are really just up at the top, and I have to only hinge back really slowly so that there's time for my arms to get all the way back down to my sides. Tai Chi has flow, so it continues to move, and you're not necessarily stopping and starting between the end. It's just a continuous, almost like a sand pouring through an hourglass in one direction, and then it turns the thing over and it comes back the other way, slowly filling and emptying. So that's flying crane, and that's our third one. So we've done horse stance. We are aware of our breath and our surroundings. We did heavy arm swing. We did riding the horse, and we did crane takes flight. The next one's my favorite one. It's bear rooting. So it's going to be weight shifting, putting more weight to one side or the other. So definitely hold on if you need to, so that you don't lose your balance. You're going to shift all your weight over onto one sit bone. So I've shifted all the way over, and my shoulder is still right over my other hip. I haven't leaned too far this way. I haven't leaned back. I've tried to keep it nice and straight. So I feel a little more weight in my other foot. And then I come back to center, and I'm going to shift all my weight to the other foot and to my other hip and my shoulder, trying to stay nice and upright. And then back again. And this is about separating the weight from one foot to the other and still maintaining your upright posture. And then if you're able, this time when you shift your weight all the way over to one side, you want to just see if you can lift the heel on that same side. So my heel on this side has just come up off the floor, and then set it back down and come back. Shift and get all your weight over to the other side. And if you can, just lift your heel on that side if you've shifted all your weight, it's pretty easy to lift your heel. If you're still in the middle, I kind of have to push down into the floor with that foot to get it to come up. But if I've shifted all my weight, it's pretty easy to just float my heel off the ground. Come back, try the other side. So you shift to that side and lift the heel on the same side. Then if you get a little more challenging, you can float the toes, just lightly pick up the toes so that the whole foot is just above the ground, and see if you can maintain that posture. So you know that you're in a good, stable posture, that you're comfortable. If when you lift that foot, you stay there. If you lift that foot and you bobble, then you're probably not stable, and you should just try and get a more stable posture so that you can be relaxed while you're practicing, as well as practicing to move energy through your body. And the more advanced would be to not hold on and shift your weight and lift your foot and just have your hands at your sides with your elbows slightly flexed. Your hands are awake and straight, your wrists are straight, and your body is still upright. So this is called bear rooting. It's really important for all of our activities. We have to shift our weight to reach for something. We have to shift our weight to get in and out of a car. I'm just trying to keep myself on time for you all. So sorry about that. All right, so that's bear rooting. Our next one is stable and open. So it uses that same principle of bear rooting. We shift our weight to one side, only this time we're gonna pivot on the heel of the other foot and turn our leg out. And this motion is coming from my hip. I haven't sat here and just moved my toe out. I lifted up my toes and then kind of moved my hip at my knee, whole leg out to the side, and come back to the stable position in the middle. Shift your weight to the other side and turn out the leg for stable and open to the other side. And come back to center. Shift again, stable and open and turn out. And come back. So again, as you shift your weight, you don't want to have to bobble your body as you go. So you're trying to be nice and stable and upright and hold on as much as you need to. There's an arm movement that we add to stable and open. It's called holding the moon and gathering the stars. So we just, like you're holding a big ball or a moon in front of you. Your elbows are heavy down, hanging down there. They're much lower. Mine are much lower than my shoulders, right? My hands are awake, so they're not overly straightened. They're just in that open posture. And then I'm going to open them together out, either one at a time or both you can do. So holding the moon and then gathering the stars, and bring energy into your body. And then you can, if you're able, you can do both. So both holding the moon, gathering the stars. This one always makes me feel good. I guess it's that open posture and bringing your arms up and down. So I do it whenever I need to, enjoy life a little more. And then you can hold the moon with one arm, hold on with your other arm, and we're going to add it to the stable and open. So shift all your weight to one side. Doesn't matter which arm you're using, which leg you shifted to, and turn out the foot and open that arm to the gathering the stars, and come back and shift to the other side. And if you're holding on with that arm, you can just use the opposite side. And you might notice that doing it one direction is easier than doing it to the other. I'm not twisting my body, if I forgot to say that, and I'm staying nice and upright. So you can just go out, open. As you bring that arm back, the leg turns back, and you come all the way back to the center. You can switch and do the other arm. So hold the moon, and you're sitting in the center. Shift your weight to one side, turn out the foot on the other side, and come back. Shift your weight all the way to the other side, and as you turn out the other leg, open into gathering the stars and back. If you're able, you can do both, holding the moon, shift your weight to one side, pivot on the heel of the other side, gathering the stars. This section. Stable and open. Good. So we've learned horse standing, a good upright posture. We've learned heavy arm swing. We've learned crane takes flight. And we've done bear rooting, shifting, lifting the heel and floating the foot, shifting, lifting the heel and floating the foot. And then we've now done stable and open and gathering the stars. And the last move in the basic moves for the first section is the Tai Chi stance. And so in sitting, what we do is we bring one foot, bend our foot back, our leg back, and turn out our leg, just like on the stable and open. So we've kind of just moved that knee back a little, and then we slightly straighten the foot on the other side. So one foot is a little bit out and one foot is back. You want to be able to still keep your foot flat. So I have tight heel cords, so I can't bring my foot back too far or my heel comes up. So I like to keep both feet flat on the ground if I can. And then also notice that I didn't bring my leg in. A lot of the time when we straighten our leg out, we kind of bring it to one side or the other, still straight in line with my hips. And now we've just changed our weight. You might notice that you have a little more weight on one hip bone. So you want to make sure that you're still upright and nice and stable, and you can hold on or hold your legs or hold the chair arm. And then what we're going to do is ride the horse. So we're going to add that shifting front and then coming up, just hinging at your hips. And this is your Tai Chi stance. And the arm movements for this are like the flying crane, only they come up just in front of your body, just to the sides of your body, and then out in front. So you bring the wrist float up, and then the wrist float down. And you just, as you hinge forward, you let your wrist come up. And as you hinge back to upright, you let your wrist come down. You can switch arms and do that. And then if you want, you can do both. Notice how that changes your balance. And then this is Tai Chi stance with whichever leg is in front. So if you're mirroring me, my right leg's in front, your left is probably in front. So it's Tai Chi stance left. And then we're gonna switch. So bring your other foot, bend your other foot back and turn it out a little bit, and bring the other foot straight, straighten it out. And then getting your nice body upright position. You can hinge at the hips front to back. You might notice again, where the weight shifts. Make sure that you're not flexing at your spine. Really a good postural exercise. You spend an hour working on making sure your posture is good and upright. I'm always tired when I start practicing. If I've taken a break or if I change what I'm practicing, the different aspects. So don't be surprised if you're a little tired after this or energized. It can do both. And you can add the arms. So you can float the one wrist as you come forward and then float the wrist down as you come back. And you can switch sides when you feel comfortable, or keep doing the same side. It's your practice. You should just do it as you like. But you're hinging just at your hips to move forward and back, and you're not using your shoulder at all to do it if you can. So now we've done all of the basic moves of the first part of the series, the fundamental series. And then I'm just going to show you shortly what the other moves are. So you end up learning to rotate your body in at your hip joint. I'm not rotating my shoulders. All of my rotation is coming from my hip. I learned to move a moon like this. So that's a really different way to learn to move your body and keep your balance. And then you also learn to do it with your arm swinging, which is similar to like walking. So it's another way to add a arm component, a second component to it, and keep your legs flat on the ground and in line. Then for the third section, you actually learn to separate your weight. So you do a stable and open and lift a leg. It takes a little bit of practice to get to be able to do that with good stability. And this is called high knee. So, with the arm, it can be called flying crane. And then dancing crane, you have a leg on the straightened out a little bit on the diagonal and lift for toe kick. And then you do holding the moon and gathering the stars. So it gets pretty hard to do a kick with one leg and extension of the other. And then you get to your Tai Chi stance. And not only do you do the bending forward, but you come back to upright, you do the turn, and you learn a power move, which is like a softball pitch or a bowling move. So it requires you really to have a lot more coordination and better balance as you go. So that's the whole series of basic moves that you would learn from this program. So from there, we get to move on to the short form. So the form has 3 parts, and we're going to work on the first part of the form today. So you want to have your feet shoulder width apart still, your knees are in line, the body's upright, you're in a really good horse standing posture, and you're lifted from the head, from the crown of your head. So you can almost feel your back lengthening. You want your elbows heavy, so they're just like hanging at your sides, and then just slightly bend your elbow. Have your wrists straight and your fingers out and your palms facing the floor. This is preparation. It's good to like take a breath and let that settle as the pace of your practice. Noticing, if you can slow it down a little for the day. And then becoming aware. It's also called Wu Ji, your standing meditation. So you can do this anytime. Working on your body alignment, your weight separation, your awareness of the environment, your breath, and focusing. And then the beginning of the form is really just starts with the lifting of the wrists. So just like we did for the Tai Chi stance, we lift our wrists, we straighten our fingers, we bring our wrists back towards our shoulders, and then we let our wrists come down to our sides. That's the beginning. It's usually just done once, but we're going to do it a few times. So lifting with your wrists straight up in front, letting your fingers dangle as you get to the end, let them come out straight. As you come back, let your wrists come towards your shoulders. And then when you get to the end, lead with the heels of your wrists down back to your sides. And if you need to hold on, that's fine. You can just do one arm at a time and get a good feel for how it is. You don't come back so far that your elbow comes behind your body. So your arm comes up straight, your fingers straighten, your wrist comes back, and then your hand just almost pushes the air down slowly to your side. You can do the other side. This is the beginning. So we did preparation, got into our good horse standing posture, breath awareness, and then beginning with this arm movement. The next part of the form means we move into our Tai Chi stance. So you want to bring your left foot back and turn your foot out. It doesn't really matter which side you do. So if you're opposite, it's fine. It's nice thing about this form is it's symmetric. You do one direction and then the other. So if we're different, it's fine. So you have one knee bent back and the other leg out in front in your Tai Chi stance. And then you're gonna put your left hand on top and your right hand on the bottom, like you're holding an imaginary ball in front of your body. So the side that your leg is bent back, that's the side that the hand is on top. So if your right leg is back, your right hand's on top. If your left leg is bent back, your left hand is on top. And for the whole next 3 series of moves for this, you're actually only going to hinge at your waist. Nothing else is going to happen. So you're going to stay in the same posture and just be moving to the front and then to the back. And then what you're going to do is a few motions with your arms. So you start holding the ball, and as you shift forward, the bottom hand is going to come up in front of your chest to face your chest bone, and the other hand is going to come down and come to your side. So if your left leg is bent back, your left hand is near that knee, and if your right leg is in front, then your right hand is facing your chest. And then you're gonna, as you shift back, you bring that bottom hand up And now it's like you're holding a ball in front of your body. One hand's all the way in front of it and the other hand is facing it. So your palms are facing each other. And this time, as you hinge forward at your hips, your palms are going to come together into press. So you almost like you have a butterfly posture. Again, make sure your spine is still nice and straight. You're not flexed forward. You haven't let your knees fall in or anything. They're still in a nice straight line. And then you're going to come back. And as you come back to upright, let your palms face the floor. And our next posture is to just let the elbows drop as you come forward and the hands come up. So it's almost like you're pushing a huge ball, a lightweight, huge ball. That's push. And we're just going to repeat those. So come all the way back to upright. Grab your ball, whichever leg's bent back, that hand is on top. And then as you shift your weight forward, the one hand comes up and the other hand comes down to your side so that you are in ward off. As you come back, bring that bottom hand up, hold that ball in front of your chest. As you come forward, bring your back hand to touch your front hand. And so that you are in press, you've pressed your hands together. As you come back, let your palms face the floor. And as you come forward, let your elbows get heavy and your hands come up. So it's like you're pushing a light ball. And then come back to the beginning again. And so now we're going to just shift our feet and do the same thing again. So bring one foot out, the other foot out in front, bring the other foot back, turn it out to the side. Go to that side and have the hand on the bottom, the hand on top is the leg that's bent back. And the hand that's on the bottom is the leg that's out straight. And as you hinge forward at your hips, bring your one hand up and your other hand down to your side so that you're in a ward off position, palm facing your chest. Come back and bring your arm up like you're holding a ball in front of your chest. Come forward and bring your hands together into press. Come back, let your palms face the floor. Come forward, let your elbows get heavy and you push the ball. Push. And come back to upright. We'll try it one more time. Hold the ball. One hand, the hand that's on top is the hand that has the leg that's bent back. Hinge forward and let your bottom hand come up in front of your body and your top hand come down to your side. Come back to upright. Bring that bottom hand up in front so you're holding that ball in front of your body. Come forward, let your palms come together to touch into press. Come back, let your palms face the floor, and then come forward, let your elbows drop and your hands go into push. And now we're going to do a closing move. So we're going to bring our arms out to the side and back. Then we're going to let them come down to our side. As you hinge forward, let your hands come across in front of your body to cross and come to upright. This is cross hands. You can bring your feet back to parallel. If you need to hold on, that's fine. And then bring your hands down to your side for just a second. Notice if your body feels any different. And then we end with something called bathing in the light. So turn your palms to face the front. Let your arms float up above, just above your head. Hinge at your elbows. Let them come in front of your head, of your body, and bring them back down to your side. You just do one more without so much instruction. So palms face out, arms float up. Hinge at your elbows and let your hands wash down the front of your body out to the side. And that's the closing ending of the, I just added it on to the end of the first part of the form. I think I have time to show you the form one time through. So I get in my beginning posture. I start with the beginning. I move into my Tai Chi stance. I grab the ball, I move into ward off. I come back, I come into press. I come back, I go into push. I come back to the center. I switch my feet. I hold the ball. I go into ward off. Usually it goes pretty slow. It should take about somewhere between 6 and 10 minutes to finish the whole form. So I'm probably going a little bit fast so that we'll have a little time for question and answer. And we bring our feet to comfort and we do something called cloud hands. One of my favorite, but it takes a very long time to learn. It's this changing movement of your arms with that fold move that I kind of mentioned of your hips. And then you kind of do a step where you lift one leg, come back, lift the other, come back, set your foot back. You go to golden pheasant stands on one leg, golden pheasant stands on the other leg. You come down to separate arms and kick, and then cross your arms and separate arms and kick to the other side. And then you repeat the initial sequence. So the ward off series, left, press, push, and then you do that to the other side. And then you finish with the closing that we just did. Out and around and up into cross hands. And then finishing with bathing in the light. And as you get the flow, it feels relaxed. It takes a long time to learn, so it's good for your brain to start thinking and learning a new series. But the practice can be relaxed and calming as well as challenging. So from a PT perspective, I really like that you can give yourself a wide range of practice. I know that from studies I've done that you have to challenge your balance to improve your balance, but at the same time, you can benefit from the relaxation, which brings me to my couple of summary points. So I can put up my one slide for you as to, or my background. So you can just see why I think that Tai Chi is a really good thing for people with ataxia. So you've probably heard me talk at the National Ataxia Foundation. They've been very nice to have me and talk a little bit about movement. But Tai Chi is done slowly. And we know that when you move more slowly, when you have ataxia, that it improves how well you're able to achieve a movement. It also simplifies your movement. You know, like we're moving just at our hips forward and back. So we don't have to control multiple joints at one time. That also improves people's motor performance. It has separating the weight, which is a really natural compensation that everyone does with ataxia in order to keep better balance and to move better. So it's a really good, like it's something that you do naturally, that we do naturally with ataxia, and that you do for practicing Tai Chi. It involves balance training, which we know is important. It has cardiovascular training, which is really helpful because, as you guys will tell me how taxing and exhausting ataxia is, you want to be cardiovascularly fit to make it through your day. It does strengthening, which is not typically a problem for people with ataxia. However, you can get kind of a, if you don't use it, you lose it. More movement is better. So it never hurts to have a strengthening quality as well. And then the relaxation. So we tend to co-contract everything. So learning to be able to only use the muscles that you need and be relaxed in a posture using the appropriate support that you need in order to do it. I think that's like a really fantastic thing for all of us. So thank you for letting me share this with you today. And I'd be happy to take any questions or demonstrate anything else if you'd like.
Yes, thank you so much, Jen. We do have a couple of questions. So I would love to start with, well, first of all, lots of good feedback as well. So thank you so much. It looks like everybody was really enjoying this session. One question that we have here is that the Tai Chi moves that you did seem a lot like a choreographed dance. Would it be helpful to memorize the movements in order to relax? Or maybe you can talk about ways that we might all be able to do some Tai Chi movements at home without having a lot of that knowledge.
Yeah, so I think that's great. Like, I would say like to take home from today, like one thing, that's how I learned. So Tai Chi takes a really long time to learn. Like I would say at least a whole year to get through the whole form and know it well and do it appropriately. And what I did when I started to learn was just practice one, try and remember one thing from the class that I learned. So like for me, I really liked the beginning. It's just super calming and relaxing. But I also said I really liked the basic bear, so turning out your foot and doing that as bear rooting, because it really makes me work on my balance. So those are two things. If you ever take the Tai Chi series, you can get videos from this company. You can also get their book, which is really specific and detailed and has all three forms, so standing or sitting, so you can do it. And they have DVDs, which I'm beginning to understand that I'm old, because a lot of people don't have DVD players anymore, but they're starting to put them online, so you can learn them that way. And then, so I think learning it in pieces, you do eventually memorize it, because, I think that's how you get to the relaxation, is to not focus too hard on like, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? You kind of just need to practice one thing over and over again to get better. And it is sort of like a dance. I'm not very coordinated or good at dancing myself, but I feel like that's something that Tai Chi has taught me over time as well. I am teaching Tai Chi, this program, in standing right now for an exercise study, and I'm teaching it more just for fun to people. So if you have an interest, I'm mostly teaching it in standing right now. And so people have asked me to make some home videos so you can watch them on YouTube. So I will make them searchable if you're interested, and they're broken down into little steps, one at each time. But you just have to bear with me that they're homemade, so they're not as good as the professionals. But I would encourage you to have a support of some kind from this organization, Tai Chi Health. You can also know that a lot of the teachers are spread throughout the country, so you might be able to find someone near you and ask them to teach a class for you. Some of them teach them on Zoom as well, that you can sign up for through rec centers, so you don't have to be located. Most of their teachers are from Wisconsin, so there's a large group there, but there are a number of them that teach Zoom classes regularly. So I hope that helps. Yeah.
Thank you, Jen. Very good way for me to sort of segue and plug as well, that this session it has been recorded, so it will be available on both our website and our YouTube channel. You can find the links for both of those right now in the chat. And similarly, Jen, you just mentioned posting some videos of your own. Somebody asks, do you have a YouTube channel, or where would people maybe find these videos?
I'm working on it. So when I get a better search, you can find them, but they're a little hard to find. I had a friend try to search the other day. They're like the basic moves introduction, but you can look for Jen Keller PT. And then I only have a few videos so far, because it kind of was a lot of teaching, but I'm working on making some more. So, but this is a good starting place, and you can play it slower and play it back and learn each thing. There's also a part to this program called the Fab Four. So you just learn 4 of those basic moves and do those over and over, because they've been shown to help with fall prevention, strength training, and like good practice. So they are the horse standing posture, the bear rooting, the high knee that we didn't get to yet today, and the Tai Chi stance. So those 4 moves. So you can look for those online too.
Well, thank you so much. That was so far all that I see for questions right now. But Jen, I believe you also maybe wanted to say something about a different webinar that you have coming up. Is that correct?
Well, I have an exercise study going on that'll be starting in the summer, that I'll be recruiting for people who can stand and have some side support when they do it. So I know this encompasses a broad range of people, but I think you can get my email from the National Ataxia Foundation website, or it's also listed on clinicaltrials.gov, so you can look for that. And it's intense. It's twice a week for 6 weeks, so you have to be ready for that. But it comes with some pre and post testing, and a chance to learn this series in standing. So
excellent. Thank you so much. Well, like I mentioned, I don't see any other questions in the chat at this time. But I'm seeing so many people in there just singing your praises and saying what a great experience this was. I agree. I almost feel like I'm so relaxed now. I need to go take a nap for the rest of the afternoon. But what a wonderful session. We would love to have you back again at any time. Thank you to everybody who came to the session today and participated. We saw some really great movements going on. And again, the session will be available on our website and on our YouTube channel. within about a week or so. So go ahead and check those out. The links are in the chat right now. You can also find them pretty easily on our website. But
thanks.
thank
I'm
you.
just looking through. I see a lot of familiar faces. So thanks for joining.
Yeah.
Sorry for jumping in. Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you so much, everybody. Everyone have a wonderful rest of your day. We look forward to seeing you at future webinars.